What up, YouTube? This Big Body Cars here. Gonna give y'all a quick update where I'm at on my 87 Cutlass 442 Bill. I know it's been a minute since I posted, but the usual things, kids playing sports, not gonna get into all that. This is the first day, I think, in probably a couple of weeks I've been home in the daylight since this time change, so hadn't really had time to post anything, but as you can see, I got the car back together. Front clips back on, all that's back hooked up and working. Few bolts I'm waiting on. When I get the new ones, I'm gonna swap those out. I've got the engine in for now. In this form here, it's not gonna stay like that. I've got a C5 or C6. I think it's a C6 LS2 Corvette intake. Fuel rails, I'm gonna swap out with that. I've got the full front drive accessory with the pancake style compressor, the 97, 99 Z28 water pump. I've got the spacer kit for it. I've got the whole separate bracket to swap that out and move the alternator down. Got a new alternator, got a new water pump, got a new AC compressor, got a new one of those, got a new orifice, got new lines. Shortly here in a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, I'll get all that put in. I actually worked on the dash a pretty good bit since the last time I showed y'all. As you can see, I completely changed it up. I sealed off where the grills went here. That's ABS plastic. Then that's been bundoed in and then sprayed over with bed liner. I closed off these vents here because I couldn't get it clean enough up under there to leave it like it looked. And then I put two 4-inch speakers, which those grills are humongous. But what I did here is I actually took the actual grill itself and molded it in. Then body worked it, used some of that good glaze filler and got it looking pretty good. And this is actually bed liner. As you can see, that texture looks like a factory texture. It doesn't have any clear on it now. I bought some clear, but I don't know if I'm gonna clear it because, to be honest with you, I really like the way it looks like that. I've got a few little spots I'm gonna clean up. I left it out in the cold on purpose to see if some of these spots will come back, and I got one there. I've got a crack right there. A few little places I'm about to touch up, but for the most part, she's done. All the interior has been took out. Put the seats back in, and I did buy a new carpet. And as you can see, the interior is going to be black. I've got the shifter in now. I've hung some of my wires up where they're going to go. As you can see, I zip tied them. But I ran out of daylight the day I was trying to do that. I've got to finish that. I've got the gas pedal in and mounted. And I've got the car running, which I'll give y'all a cold start here in a minute. I've got a few more things I need to clean up. And then I took all these pieces here out and discovered that I've got a little bit of rust right there on both sides. It's not in the top part, except on the bottom surface wise, but it did get there on the corner. I'm gonna clean that out and figure out how I'm gonna fix that. I don't know if I'm gonna have it welded or if I'm just gonna do something different, but the rest of it's pretty solid. As you can see, the rest of it, there is no rust. It's actually a pretty clean, solid car, shockingly. But it actually turned out pretty clean. I've got those took apart. I gotta pull the seat belts to get those out. The plan is now I'm gonna take the seats and have those covered vinyl leather look. I don't know if maybe suede. I made my mind up. Gonna do a suede headliner. I've got the headliner piece. It's still in good shape, and I'm gonna cover it in black suede. But I made my mind up if I'm gonna do leather or suede on the interior. But all the door pieces will be dyed the exact same way as this. All my plastic pieces. That's my pieces that go there on the side. The bottom of the door panel, the side pieces in the back, the top pieces there, the pillar post, you name it. The console's already done like that, which I'll show you. Console's done. It's been repaired. It had a couple of spots in it I fixed. And like I said, that's just CA glue to fill in the holes, bundo to bundo it up, sandable primer, sand that down, and then do a little bit of body work to just make sure it's good and smooth. And then you do it with bed liner. Like I said, I love the way that looks. To me, that is that texture there is amazing. I don't see myself doing anything else to that to make that look like that. I fixed this piece here, which is ironic because it's finna go under the knife. I've got a older Sony radio, like a high dollar radio I had back in the day, that has have an aux input on it. And so I'm gonna take a Fire 8 HD Plus tablet and convert it over where it'll accept CarPlay. You can run Android on it and make it accept CarPlay. And I'm gonna mount it in here, in this area. I'm gonna flush it in somehow. I don't know if I'm gonna buy a case and mold the case in there, but I'm gonna have to cut in here some to do it. And this piece here was cracked there, crack there, crack some everywhere. So that's been body worked. I'm not worried about if I ruin it or not. I mean, I was kind of debating on buying a new one when I done it. I just tried to fix that to see if I could. Turned out pretty decent. For the most part now, it doesn't matter. I'm going to make me some type of piece here for that tablet. Keep this one vent, lose that vent, block that off behind the dash. And then I'm going to make me a flat plate here. And instead of the regular headlight switches that come in these cars, I'm going to have the circle around buttons like I had in my 84 Monte Carlo SS. Took all these pieces out and cleaned them up. They actually cleaned up pretty good. Doesn't really matter though, because they're all getting the same treatment as that. That's already been cut, and I've had this actually mounted completely with the shifter in, but I've got to get a new lid. I've got mine, but it's in pretty bad shape. If anybody on here knows what one's at, I don't care what color it is. I can dye it or have it recovered. Mine, all the foam and the material has deteriorated where you would have to mount it to here where the plate goes. So if anybody knows where any of that stuff at, man, just drop me a comment. Still got all the insulation there. That's for the doors, that's for the roof, for the side. It's been fully insulated in the floor down here. All that's working now. I'll let you guys hear what it sounds like on a cold start. What she sounds like on a cold start. We got the original 40 series floor mounters from back in the day that was on this car when I bought it. To reuse those, I've got 2.5 inch exhaust. I used the Patriot Performance manifolds for a G-body. They work pretty good, but when you get them back there in this area down here, the downpipe on the driver's side will not clear the A-arm frame. So I actually had to take that piece up to my local muffler shop, and he made me a piece to make it actually clear. The one on the driver's side works. It's pretty close to the brake lines. I'm gonna wrap it with some of that header tape, but it's pretty close. And this is a new belt, and this didn't squeak at first, but as you can see, all those idler arms and pulleys, I've got all that new to go on when I do this front end swap, so that'll get rid of that squeaking. And I actually think I'm kind of thinking the squeaking's coming from the alternator or either this pulley here because it looks so bad, but once it warms up, it stops. I had exhausted a local muffler shop. Like I said, 2.5 all the way out. Both sides, it just comes and turns behind the tire. I actually wanted it to come and dump, but he done it like that, so it was done. I didn't really have the time to argue with him once he was finished with it. And decent price, cheapest price I could find around here. The tune on the motor, I bought HP tuners, and I went in and off a couple of YouTube videos, and I put an idle tune in it. It'll drive, and it drives decent. It needs to be dyno tuned. Someone's going to have to tune it. But what it does now is if you match the gas to the floor and you look at it in HP tuners, with the pedal about 50%, it thinks it's at 90%. So if I pedal my way into it easy, you know, you got all your power like normal. But if you take your foot and stump it, it'll stumble a little bit before it goes. But she does pretty good. Brian Tooley Racing Stage 2 cam. You know, I did lifters, push rods, new springs, new crank. Everything's new minus the heads, which have been worked, the connecting rods, and the block. Everything else in it, I mean, from the timing chain set to the tray lifters, to, you know, all that stuff's new. Pretty good. And I use that 6AN line. I don't know if I showed y'all guys that, but I bought to run on my fuel line. And that worked out pretty good. And I also use that to run my transcooler. You can see here, you can see it. To run my transcooler. I have a 6AN line on that too, and I have a fan on that. And I took some relays myself. I don't know if I can get y'all a good enough picture of it. And I wired those up myself. And you can get that off of Google. I Googled how to do that. This fan here comes on at about 195. This fan here comes on when you cut the AC on, or if it gets above, I think 215-ish, 214, something like that. And this radiator and shroud I got off eBay was one complete setup that come together. So I had to cut it right there to get it in. Like I said, once I get everything done and finished, I'll clean it all up. Especially once I get my new water pump in, because I can get rid of this crazy looking hose. I hate the way that looks. And this setup here runs and drives fine. I just can't put my hood back on. So the whole point in this is I don't want a cow hood. I don't like the way they look on these cars. They look good on the Monte Carlo, it says, but to me, they're not really for these cars. I want that hood back on. So we've got the Corvette intake and all the accessories to make that work. So that's the route we'll go with that. I know it's been a minute since I give you guys an update. I know that's kind of brief and quick, but hopefully with the holidays here pretty soon, I'll be able to get these other back pieces at least painted. My tablet won't be here till Wednesday. I ordered it this morning with all the stuff to make the CarPlay and Android Auto work on it. Once it comes in and I can get some for sure measurements, I've got an old broken screen Amazon Tablet 8 that I've been using to test, but until I get the new one in, which I'll show y'all, that is reading the sizes from the measurements I got off their website. I measured this one myself and I measured the one on the website. The one on the website is actually a little bit smaller than the new one that's coming. But I should be able to cut that in, and once I get back here, I'll have to go up because I'm going to flush it with where the gauges would go. And besides, it's got all this bezel. I want to hide all that bezel anyway, so I'll make something to cover these bezels up. I don't need the camera that's going to be on the new one. I'm not going to be using any of that, so I'll come up with something on that. And if not, I'll find another place to put it since it's already bought. But just a quick update, man. I'll keep y'all going as I get further on. So I figure out what I'm going to do on these rust spots there. And then got a guy supposed to come back by and fix these ones right here on the door for me. And I think there's one back here. A small spot starting there and there. And if I can get him out here in time, I'm going to let him do them all. Let him do the T-tops and all. But if not, I'm going to figure out something, borrow a welder from work or something. I'll come up with something to get it going. Just want to give you guys a quick update, man. Y'all have a good one.